Morning.
Good. Is it morning?
It is
I'm living in the
still
Matrix, so I don't know. I
20
don't
more
know what it
minutes.
is. 20 more minutes. All right.
All right.
Except when somebody's watching this at midnight. Well, I guess it could be 12:01 and it's morning.
It's morning somewhere.
So if it's 20 minutes from not being morning, what time is it? All right.
All right. So first question that came in for the day is my sales cycles are 3 to 6 months and I lose deals because prospects just keep on delaying. They're interested, they acknowledge the problem, they like the solution, but there's no sense of urgency. Every call ends with let's connect in a few weeks and it drags on forever. I've tried to create a false sense of urgency with this price is expiring or we have limited spots, but it kind of leaves me feeling gross and the prospects seem to see through it. How do you create authentic urgency with prospects who have real problems, but seemingly no burning need to solve them immediately?
But I think, okay. So I wonder if this person has ever made a sale. And so, really, I would wonder, okay, what that looked like. But so I'd want to know that. I'd go, okay, well, that. But I think I know that one of the big things that most people miss in any sort of selling strategy is time frame. There's the two biggest motivators I think in life are fear and time frame. So in this case, so what might they be afraid of? I don't know. The fear of loss. Well, this is going away. Price. So obviously they don't feel very confident doing something like that. But we found that uh, we always ask time frame. So even when we get a referral, when somebody calls in, hey, how do you blah blah blah? Oh, Jim sent you. Oh yeah, Jim. Blah blah. How's his need doing? Oh, whatever the conversation is. They go, well, what's your, and so we talk about whatever it is that I'm selling and I want them to buy. I always ask, well, what's your time frame? And this is really early on before I get into it. So if it's a long way off, I'll say something like, you know what? Why don't we do this? Because this changes a lot. Rates change, pricing change, depends on time. And there's some new things coming out. So this is what if they go, well, not for a few months, they go, perfect. Let's do this. And then I'm not shooting all, I'm not loading them up with all kinds of information. So then they can go shop me against somebody else and go with them. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of my time and a waste of their time. And I'm probably not going to get the sale if I go through all the process and then they go, oh, I'm, not ready for a few months. And now, because if I did that and I didn't ask her time frame, now I've got to go, oh, well, there's pricing that's changing. It feels like you're kind of grasping at straws, and it's sort of evident, right? We've all been in those situations. I'm just not ready yet. Oh, well, price is going up, or whatever. And you're gonna go, yeah, price is probably not going up. It sounds desperate, and it sounds manufactured. I think that was the word that you used up front. So time frame. I've never have I ever seen it taught in any sales training, and it's one of the biggest things that they miss, and one of the biggest things that you can ask close to up front after you go, oh, hey, how's it going? Da, 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 da. Oh, okay, that's what you're looking for. What's your time frame when you're looking at this? That's how we always start, and what we found to save a lot of time and to get the sales, and it doesn't sound contrived. Make sense?
And you really
Do
have
you have
to
any
read.
stories like I'm trying to think of like one. I mean, there's a million of them because we've done this a million times, right, Chuck? But I'm trying to think of any. But
I
it's
think the
nothing.
biggest thing is resisting the urge to give them pricing when they say that they're like 2 months out, or because sales cycles are different, obviously, depending on what you're selling. But if someone says, well, I'm looking for like 3 months from now, what I always used to do is set up the next call with them and go, well, if you're looking through, why don't I do 3 months? Let's say it's December 1st, right? And you go, well, why don't I do this? Why don't I call you kind of mid-November? And I create
Right.
urgency for that call. Like I set that up with them. And what clients often do is they go, well, just tell me how much it, when I hear, well, just tell me how much it is so I know, I immediately think, okay, they're trying to gather information from me to price it against someone else. And one of the problems with being the first one in the door and giving them pricing is you're giving them a baseline to run around and talk to 90 other yahoos about what pricing is. So what I always do is I just go, it really depends. There's so many different variables. Why don't we do this? Why don't we just hook up November 15th? You have to resist the urge because
Yeah.
mentally it's very frustrating when you give them pricing and then you say, oh, we decided to go another route. I overeducated them. So just resist the urge but definitely the first thing up front is, well, how soon were you looking to get this going? How soon would you like your finger to stop hurting? You know what I mean? So get them to commit to a
Yeah.
time frame. Because if you
Yeah.
don't commit to a time frame, don't even get into it with them.
No. No. Oh, I'm just thinking. Okay. Well, okay. But if you were really thinking like when this would be an important thing to start, when would it be? And like Chuck said, oh, 3 months from now. Do not call them 3 months from now. Call them 2 weeks before 3 months from now, or even 2 months from now.
Right.
How many times, I can't tell you how many times I waited till 3 months. It took me a while to figure this one out. I waited till 3 months. They go, oh, we just got set up with somebody else. So I should have called you 2 weeks ago and got back into it. Oh, da da da. Remember when Jim sent you over? Blah 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 blah. So yeah, you don't wait. If they go, oh, a year, 6 months, whatever it is, you always call them before that. So you
Right.
get back into because who knows? Maybe their time frame change. Oh yeah, we're not gonna. It's still 6 months out. Okay, well I'm gonna put you in for 4. Uh, or oh yeah, man, I'm glad you called because we do need that right now. Yeah, like Chuck said, resist the urge. Ask time frame. Time frame
Yeah.
is one of the biggest. There's books written about negotiation, right?
Right.
And time frame is one of the biggest ones.
And I like that
Fear.
you said do it right up front. Don't wait. Like people will go through the whole process and go, well, when did you want to get going? 6
Yeah.
months from now. Like,
They go,
It
that's,
I just blew 2
how much
hours of
time did that just
conversation.
waste, right?
Right.
Oh man.
All right, next question that came in is we run a commercial janitorial service with 28 active contracts, office buildings, medical facilities.
Janitorial.
Janitorial. Yeah, like commercial cleaning.
Yep.
Retail spaces, our contracts are 1,800 to 6,500 per month, and we've never lost a client due to service quality. 5 years, 28 clients, 0 complaints, but only 2 referrals total. We designed ourselves to be invisible. We clean at night when nobody's there, and if we do our job right, nobody notices us. I've tried asking facility managers and property owners for introductions, but they see us as a vendor, not a partner. How would you go about asking and approaching getting referrals when your entire value proposition is being invisible and forgettable?
Well, I would say that they're not afraid. It's what some of the stuff that they just rattle off sounds like an excuse. Honestly, oh, nobody sees us. Yeah, you do. We have an office and we have a cleaning company, and I certainly notice when they don't clean very well. So, and when they do clean very well, I notice that too. And that's harder to notice because if they've done a great job and they continue to do a great job, you just assume, that's just how life is. But I do appreciate it. And sometimes, uh, I would say that in all things in life, it's nice to ask somebody a question, get some feedback, and go, oh, so you do like it? Okay, good. Just making sure that we're doing the right things. So then it's like, yeah, I really do like. So I don't know. Maybe I don't. Maybe I mean, we own commercial real estate. Do I know other people who might be interested in the same? No, not really. I guess I know some people, other people who own their own commercial real estate. Would I recommend cleaning? I guess,
I guess if
would I
someone asked,
recommend?
right?
Yeah, if somebody asked, go, hey, do you like your
Right.
cleaning company? Go, yeah, I really do. Or like, I don't know, they're okay.
But
Uh,
I think one of the biggest faults that business owners do or salespeople do is they reach out to ask for referral. I always reach out for something else, and then it just kind of referrals come up towards the end of the conversation because it sounds to me as though they have a working relationship. We come in, we clean for you, but they don't really have a relationship. You know what I mean? So that's why we always talk about, having that consistent contact with them. And it's not just the
Yeah.
contact to send the invoice, right? Have other types of contact with them. It's almost like you loosen them up a little bit to the idea of sending you referrals. You can't just go in and go, hey, we're your cleaning company. How's it going? Great. Hey, do you know anyone else that would like cleaning services too?
Yeah.
It doesn't fit. It
That's
just
not, here, one thing Chuck has said for a long time, and I think you should say it right here, is that
that.
referrals are a two-way street.
Mm-hmm,
Launch
mm-hmm.
into that little piece because that's so true. So true. So how
100%.
would you say it here? How would you say it here?
That referrals are a two-way street.
Yeah,
Like
besides the
that.
referrals are.
You
Yeah,
know?
what does that mean though? What does that
Well,
mean here?
well, referrals are refer business to them, or I go in and shop at their store. I'm doing business with them. I'm not just there to clean for them. You know, in the question, you said that they were retailers, right? Well, I want to make sure that if I have 28 accounts and they're retailers, I would imagine that some of those 28 are businesses that I would frequent or I would buy something from. They need to see me in there. They got to see me in there. Oh, hey, it's Chuck, the cleaning guy. He's in here buying his new Patagonia jacket or whatever the hell he's doing. And
Yeah.
and I want to I want to
You know,
make
more
sure
ladies apparel, you know.
more, yeah, more unmentionables. No,
Yeah.
but it's 100%. You got to be seen in there. Like you're developing when they see that you're spending your hard-earned money with them as well. Then they're like, this person gets it.
Yeah.
When you walk in wearing that new Patagonia jacket that he sells and you clearly didn't buy it from him, why should he give you referrals?
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
that's just annoying, right?
right.
Or yeah, you're asking me for referrals and you don't I contract with you. You do no business with me and you want me to get you more business?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a two-way street. And
Right.
so, it's like leading up to asking for a referral, right? Because even if I don't buy what it is you sell, I could ask you, go, hey, I like to do business with people who do business with me. I just don't need what you sell, but I know loads of people. How could I recommend you? What
Mm-hmm.
are some things that you would like me to say to people I know to do business with you? And I'm not at that point in this conversation going to
Right.
ask for a referral. I'm just going to go, hey man, I appreciate you use me. How can I help you?
And if
And
you do
way
that,
before I ever ask for a referral.
if you do that exact same thing, what John just said, what you'll find is you'll get referrals without asking because
Yes.
they're like, oh, this guy, reciprocity, right? I mean, he's
Yeah.
promoting my deal out there. I have this in something in me that says I got to promote his too.
Yeah,
So
it's called science is called the rule of reciprocity,
yeah,
right? It's
yep,
like why people give stuff to people for free, and they go, "Oh, I should go do something for you."
right.
Anyway, sorry with I interrupted with my science lingo there,
That's all
Chuck.
right. All
But
your
but
fancy
but but
lingo,
that's it. It's like look at the science is rule of reciprocity. Do something for them first,
right?
and don't ask for it right away. Help them, help them, help them. One, they've already got you as a client. They're already helping you, right? I
Hmm.
don't know. You're doing the work. You
Yeah,
appreciate it. You love that you have them as a client. You've had them for a long time. Help them out before you ask for more help.
hmm,
It's how you should play it. That's how you should play it because you're already getting benefit. They're getting benefit.
right.
Now you need to provide more benefit before you ask for anything, and that it'll work. It
Hmm,
works.
hmm.
Right. Another question came in
I need to.
on.
I need. I've had too much coffee, bro. Let me go.
Speaking of coffee, I thought now that I've seen a few of our videos, I thought that like when other people were talking, we were going to cut into them and not see the other one. So I'm like drinking coffee. I'm like doing shit over here. Then I see the videos and I go, oh, okay. So maybe I shouldn't be doing that. But
That's okay. We're playing with the style of it,
Okay.
and
All right.
so
All right.
I think we'll end up, especially with some of the shorter episodes, it'll be like exclusively focused on whoever's talking.
Okay. All
So I
right.
think we'll test out a couple of different styles of doing it and
Sure.
see which one is working best.
I forgot I'd subscribed to it, and I sent John a picture yesterday. I got up, I was like checking because I was on the road on Saturday, so I didn't get to watch any college football. So I was like logging into YouTube. I was going to check and then I saw a video that said, joint venture, and I go, oh shit, joint venture video. And I looked closer. I didn't have my glasses on yet. I'm all like, and I'm going, holy shit, that's our video. But I thought that was kind of funny. But anyway,
That is funny.
yeah. Then I was like, what?
Chuck pushed his
I
glasses.
look up.
Who is? Oh, whoa!
I
Wait
go,
a.
shit,
It's like
man.
it's slowly. It's like, wait a second.
Right.
I know. Hey, I really do know those guys.
All right. Next question that came in here is one on closing. So the question is, I'm terrible at closing. I feel like I build great rapport, run solid demos, have a good conversation, but when it comes to actually asking for the business, I freeze up or use weak language like, so what do you think? Or would you like to move forward? They always say that they need to think about it or talk to their team. I know I need to be more direct, but every closing technique I read leaves me feeling manipulative or pushy. Um, how do you directly ask for business in a way that's confident but uh, not pushy, and how do you actually respond when somebody gives you the I just need to think about it type of response?
Let me.
You ever hear the saying, you painting yourself into a corner?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So in this scenario, they painted themselves into a corner, and now they they painted themselves into a corner. Now they want to try to figure out how to unpaint themselves. They painted them. You're painted in a corner. You can't unpaint that. You want just roll across the paint. Start
Yeah.
over. Start over. It didn't. You ended up in that corner because of how you did it to yourself.
Right.
Did it to yourself. So
This one's a real. Let me just because I just
hop
had this
in.
conversation with one of our sales partners mid last week about this exact same thing. I'm getting a lot of I need to think about it, and I go into every sales process anticipating that that's coming down the pike. And regardless of what you're selling, there's probably about 4 or 5 things that need to be agreed upon to make the sale happen, right? And one of the things we talked about earlier today was like timeframes, right? So let's just use that one. When they go, yeah, I want to get going next week. You can go, okay, so next week you want to be up and running and functional then? What I did right there.
That's a big right there. That's a big deal right there.
That's
It's
a
called a
big
tie
deal.
down.
That's called a tie down. So I've tied you down. So like let's say you're on a little spectrum, right? Like here, and there's like 4 topics that you have to cover to make the sale come to fruition. On the very first one, let's say it's the time frame. When I said, "Oh, so you want to be up and running next week then?" And they go, "Yes." I go, "Okay. Check." If they go, "Well, we're not sure." I can't move on to the next topic until I get this one shored up. What a lot of salespeople do is they'll go through their process and they're just talking, right? They're just like throwing up at the customer and they're going, well, this, and then we can have this, and here's all the features and the benefits and the really cool stuff, and this is going to do all this for you. Meanwhile, the customer's just sitting there. Not once am I getting an agreement on a key issue. On every key issue, I need to get a verbal, and I'll have customers do this. They'll go, that's not an agreement. Okay, that's them digesting information. So I will elicit a verbal response for them. So what are you thinking? Like next week you want to be up and running then? And they go, so what, like Monday, Tuesday, like morning, afternoon? And eventually they go, well, yeah, like Wednesday afternoon. Okay, great. Now I got you. So I go through this whole process. I get agreement on key issues. Every single one of them, a verbal agreement that this is it. Then we go to the next topic. Then let's fast forward to the end where they go, you know what? I want to think about it. Okay, so if you dissect that, we need to think about it. There's something in there that they have an objection to or they don't understand. And I go, well, let me ask you, Ian, when you and I talked earlier, when we started this process, you agreed that you wanted to be up and running by next Tuesday, right? Right? And you're nodding your head and you go, oh, okay. And everything I've laid out for you says we can get there. Let me ask you, what part of this do you need to think about? Or what part of this are you unsure of? Because now what my job is to uncover whatever the true objection is. Because you might go, well, we're just not sure if we don't have the money to pay for the equipment. Let's just use that arbitrary objection right there and go, oh, okay. So what you're saying is you'd be all over it, but you just got to figure out the finances to get the equipment. So if I could show you a better, easier way to get the equipment, we'd still move forward on this then? You notice how I'm getting a commitment from you before I show you a better move forward way? I don't jump in to go, well, you can lease it or you can make payment. I don't jump into that yet. Get the commitment first. The commitment, oh, okay, so what you're saying is if I could show you an easier way to pay for the equipment, you would be all over getting it up and running by Tuesday then? And I must get that verbal, well, yes. Now I can give you an alternative form of a way of paying for the equipment, and we're moving forward. So my guess is, and obviously I don't know this person, but my guess is they're not getting these tie downs all the way through the sales process.
Right.
They're puking it all out, and at the end, they're hoping to go, can we move forward then? And they go, no, well, we need to think about it. Oh, okay. So he made mistakes, I'm assuming, because 30 something years of doing this and selling thousands and
Well, a
thousands,
million scenarios.
a million
A million
scenarios. Yeah,
examples.
it's like get the
This is so
commitment
common. It's
early.
so very common. It
Very,
happens
very
to
common.
right now. It's happening to so many people all over the world, and it doesn't have
Right,
to. But it's what happens when you do what everybody's taught to do,
right.
which is the four steps of a sale: report, relationship, presentation, overcoming objections, and close. It really doesn't work that way. So they think, oh, I just go through that. And what you said, that the question asker asked or said, was that I think I'm having a good conversation. No, that's where they're mistaken. They're maybe have a good casual conversation, but they don't understand what they're really supposed to be doing in the conversation, which is exactly what Chuck said. It's that it's this timeline. And so I'm in my timeline of my conversation. Chuck said there's about four things almost always, doesn't matter what you're
Right,
selling.
right.
There are about four things you've got to seek agreement on. You have to and you are not allowed to go forward until you do. And that might seem weird, like, well, how, I just stop conversation? No, yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
do, because if it's because most people will not get. Chuck was saying you got to get the verbal okay, and most people don't. There's that silence, like when you go. So what you're saying is Tuesday afternoon or whatever it is, then we could go forward, right? And listen to the silence right here. Very
They need
uncomfortable.
right.
The first one, so and the salesperson almost always caves. They go, okay, and they move on. That you
Just
unplug.
stop
You just
talking.
blew it right there. You just totally missed it. That you must, like Chuck was saying, you must get the verbal okay. Like, yep, that does make sense. Okay, good. And then we move on. Then we can move on. Otherwise, you are not allowed to move on. And you might think that doesn't make sense, but it really does. That silence in there, that silence is really powerful.
Right.
And it's hard. It takes some discipline,
Yeah.
right? There's in life there's uh, all kinds of opportunities. You have to have the discipline to be able to get through and to be able to get that, all the stuff that you want. Opportunity, discipline, and then you get the result. Opportunity without discipline, you're not going to get what you want.
Well,
So you need to understand those little tiny tie downs along the way. Must
mm-hmm,
seek it. Tie
mm-hmm.
downs are seeking, which
Agreement on
Chuck
key
has said a
issues.
million times, right? And if you don't seek agreement on key issues, which are just little along the way, when you get to the end and they have to think about it and you think you did everything right, clearly you didn't. Otherwise, you wouldn't be getting that.
And you brought up a great point that I overlooked, but the silence piece. I mean, the majority of the sales I've done, I mean, I've done both face to face and over the telephone, but a majority of my sales have been done over the telephone. And I've literally sat on the phone for like 20, 30 seconds waiting for a
Yeah,
response.
right.
I just won't
Yep.
respond. I'll just sit there and they'll go, hello? Because they think they don't hear anything, right? And I go, yeah, so did you want to be up and running by next Tuesday then? And they go, yeah, we want to be. And I go, okay. And then I move on. I mean, it is, you must fight these urges that we have to just continually keep rolling. You got to ask the question, and then you got to turn that lock on your lips, right? And just
Yeah.
stop. And you will get the answer if they go, well, we're not sure, because everything has to be uncovered, right? You gotta ferret through this deal. If they go, well, we're not sure, then you go, okay, now I have a different thing that I need to talk to you about is why aren't you sure? Oh, okay, well, what do you mean? Are you sure you won't be open by then? Or are you sure that whatever the reasons are, you must uncover them. You must seek clarification, clarity, always seeking clarification. And if this person did that, if they just, and also during your discovery process, you should be asking your customers questions, right? Like what their needs are. You're trying to uncover their needs. And you go, oh, okay. So what I'm hearing you say is, if I could get you this, even before I pitched them any pricing. Oh, so, and I'm just referring it to the industry we're in. Oh, okay. So if you could have a program that you just downloaded on your PC to run the transactions, that's what you're looking for. That's a tie down in my discovery, because now when I'm doing my presentation, if you will, I can go, oh, and you wanted something that just downloads on your computer, right? Again, I do it again. And they go, yes. The idea is, I had somebody, I was on a road trip with my daughter this weekend, and she was trying to get a concept to me. And she asked me a question, and I giggled. When she asked me a question,
Imagine Chuck and his daughter just giggling on a
we're
road
just
trip.
giggling, driving down the road. But it was funny because she actually picks up some stuff from her old man, right? And when she asked me a question, she was going like this with her head. And what happens in whoever's receiving that question, they somewhere in here they go, oh, I should be saying yes to this because this person's nodding to me. Okay, and that's what I do. I see myself doing that in the sales process. I go, oh, so you wanted something that you could just download to your computer then? You see how I'm nodding? And they go, yes. So there's a lot to it. And I know we've probably gone down some other roads to that, but get agreements on key issues, nod your heads a little bit when you want them to say yes or move forward with you, and they will respond that way. And it becomes a lot
Yeah.
easier to close a deal.
So back. Let's wrap that up because
Yeah.
we did cover a lot of ground. So they found themselves at they get a lot of, I have to think about it. I think I had the right conversation. At the end, when they say that, I find myself using cheap dime store hood feeling rebuttals, overcoming objections. That's so they find themselves, and we all do. And then typically our sales, whomever taught us sales, taught us some cheap dime store thug methods to overcome their objections and close. Like twist their arm and throw their face in the hood of the Pontiac that you want them to buy. It's or there's secret words and there's not. What it is they have to understand. They said, oh, we had a good conversation, but we get to the end. They're mistaken and not understanding what a good conversation is. They need to, in that timeline of the conversation, they need to be seeking agreement on key issues along the way. We call them tie downs, and you can't go on until you do those things. And if you're and so it allows you. It's not. This is why it's not a presentation, but it's a conversation.
Right.
And it's not just a conversation. It's a like you're exploring. you're really being a sort of a detective here
Mhm.
and uncovering. You're like Sherlock Holmes in this thing, right? Okay, so you want this, Watson, or whatever, whoever you're talking to. Okay, that's what you want. Okay, got it. And now I can go forward, and when we're having this conversation, I go, oh, okay, and because there are a few things that I need to make sure that we check off and say yes, and the questions along the way, and I need to
Right.
get them they're agreeing. So the conversation needs to be an exploratory conversation. Okay, what are you looking for? Okay, so if we got that, does that make sense? Okay, and they have to say yes. If they say no, you go, well, before I go on, it's not just stopping the conversation, it's exploring that area. It's
Mhm.
diving deeper with that. Oh, what about this? Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so if we can do that, okay, now we're back on track.
Mhm.
That's how conversation, when you're leading to a sale, goes. If you're just talking, you're always going to come up with objections at the end and trying to close and throwing Hail Marys and grasping at straws.
Right.
And that's not, none of us like to do that. That's hard. And then you read all the sales books on closing, and they're not going to help you because they don't tell you that you need to
Mhm.
conversation and there's key issues. You don't get the key issue okayed. You need to dive deeper and understand. Once you get it, you pop back up and get right back on track to the next one, and then you dive deep on that one if need be. Otherwise, you ask them questions along the way. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. Good. Okay. And then you move on. And then your close is often paperwork. It's not okay. So what?
And
And then
then,
okay. So you said you wanted to get that going by Tuesday. Okay, we better get paperwork going today, then, shouldn't we? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, and use things like, do you see how that would work better for you? Or now this is what you were looking
Yeah.
for, right?
These are
Use
tie downs.
statements.
These are
Yeah, use
little.
statements like that. I'm sure you would agree this would be better for you. Just inclusive kind of statements to move forward.
Well, and they're closed ended, right?
Yeah, right.
If
Yep.
they give you a yes or a no.
Hmm.
Tie downs are closed ended. Does that make
Yep.
sense? Can you see how that would work? Yes, no, yes, no. They're
Hmm.
yes or no's. It's not. What do you think about the da da da?
Yep.
That's not it. What do you think about that? Oh, I think that that's not no. That's not an agreement on a key issue. You're just
Right.
getting their random thoughts. That doesn't mean that you agreed to it.
Right.
So it's there's some science here, right? There's some strategy and tactics if you want to be successful. That's back to that, understand what it is you're trying to achieve. Most presentations absolutely don't have that. Oh, hey, look at this PowerPoint, clickety clickety click. And then and you practice it, you sound good to yourself on, like,
Right.
when you record it, like we're talking about, you should, but it's not a conversation. It's a script. And these aren't script because you don't know what their concerns really are. You might have an idea, you can anticipate, okay, if they say this, I'm going to do this. One of the cards I plan myself every day is this: anticipate. It's an anticipation card. Okay, so if they say this along the way, or what, that way I can respond. Like, I already know what to do. I don't have to react like, oh, I don't know what to do. Hail Mary, grasp by straws. Anyway, so back to the point. The conversation is a leading conversation, seeking key issues along the way, yes or no, and go back and listen to the 15 minutes of film here
Yeah.
to get all those details. But this will change everything. And I
Uh-huh.
know people say it changes everything. Well, this actually does.
Yes, it does.
All right, next question that came in here.
You know what? And one more thing, one more thing. And
All
then
right,
and then you
let's
can
hear it.
actually have fun with it, right? You can actually have, when you become a master, not master, because I don't think you ever master anything, but when you get really good at it,
Mhm.
now you can play with it. You know what you're doing. You own the game, right? You own the game. You're not just grasping at straws like the typical salesperson. You're really good at this. When you take ownership, you start controlling the game when you take ownership and
Mhm.
understanding this stuff.
Builds confidence, builds credibility.
Ah,
I mean, because then when people are dealing with you, they go, we're in the money business, right? So we handle people's transactions. You want to know the person handling your transactions is like on their game, right? So, that builds that with your client. They go, this guy knows his business because he handled
yeah.
me properly. You know, we all get
Right.
handled. Like I like when a salesperson handles me properly because it makes it
Yes.
easier up here for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Right. 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 Yeah.
yeah,
It's important to, right. That's a really good point. The whole flip side of it's not just me manipulating you, leading you.
right.
It's like, let's make sense of this. Let me
Hmm.
help you find what's best here for you.
Well, you're the
And,
expert.
and,
You're the expert
well,
in
yeah.
what I'm trying to buy. You need to help me make sense of this. You need to guide me along by asking the right questions, tying me down, making sure I understand. And then it gives me confidence in you. If you don't know how to direct me, how are you going to know how to direct the business that I need from you? That's I think the
Exactly.
subconscious things that go on with
Right.
people.
Yeah. It's in the back of your mind. Right. You
Yeah.
know, yeah. Yep. That's so exactly right on. Right. Lead me properly so that
Yeah.
I feel that, inside I start trusting you.
Well, and how
Right.
many times you heard me say this, like when we've been talking about scenarios we've gone through, it's like, why are you making it difficult for me to do business with you?
Yeah. Right. Right.
Why are you doing
Right.
that? You should be making
Just,
it easy for me to do business with you. You should take all my thinking out of it by guiding me through this process. And anyway, I'll quit
yeah.
belaboring that, but I
No,
see
but
it every
it's so
day.
true, and that's
Oh,
but people don't, and they come up with these questions that we
mm-hmm.
just had, which is a good question, and
Right.
everybody who is selling anything should be asking the same thing. Because 98% of everybody selling things runs into the same thing, and
Mm-hmm.
there's so much going on that they had a long question, and it's like, okay, well, and I started by saying, well, you painted your stuff in a corner,
Yeah.
and they did, and they because they're but they don't even understand how they got there,
Right.
and so that the stuff we just talked about is so important to understand your game,
Yep.
and it's not just a game. I'm not trying to be trivial about that, or you're trying to take advantage of somebody. You're really doing the right thing for them by getting them the right thing by asking them these right questions, and if they do need it and they need the right thing, well, ask them do your best to understand the right questions to ask,
Right.
understand the psychology of this process if you want to be good at it,
Yeah. Right. Well,
if you
yeah.
want to have success and have, this is all about freedom, right? The challenge of being free, the challenge of using this, things that opportunities that you have to build a life where you have a more free life. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're going to be free, then you need to understand the keys that unlock freedom along the way. And this is a huge one that almost nobody, I've never seen anybody cover it well enough. Uh, and I think the things that we just talked about covered extremely well. Uh,
I agree.
well, I know they do, and they solve most of it. Now you just have to use it and go, okay, because you're not going to have it all figured out right away. You're going to have to start experimenting with that. And the further you get, the more the lights come on, the more the lights come
Right.
on, and pretty soon you're really good at it, and you're going, oh, and then pretty you can't see doing it the
Right. Yeah.
old-fashioned
Well, it
way.
doesn't, it
You
becomes natural. It's just the way you start.
yeah.
And what I would recommend to everybody, if you want to hone these skills, I'm a big advocate of honing the skills outside of the sales process. Like, I don't want to wait until I'm in front of somebody and I need to pay my rent or my mortgage or my car payment or whatever and try to hone the skill. Do this in all your communication. And what you'll
Yeah.
find is that all your communication all of a sudden becomes easier with people.
Uh-huh.
And then your life becomes easier. Then you become happier because your life becomes easier.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
so
and so you can do it everywhere, right? Like conversations with the person ringing your stuff up at the grocery store.
yeah,
The person that you talk to next.
right.
Like try it. Right? Everybody goes, well, wait until later, and exactly. Well, when I'm really in a bind, then I'll try it. Well, okay, but well, then it's too late, and you're not good at it.
Right.
But if you when you start right away, the next person that you talk to, test it out, and you
Hmm.
go, holy cow, this actually does work, because when you ask questions they actually answer them.
Right.
And you go, oh, it's like, ooh, it does work,
Yeah, it
it
does.
works, it
Yeah.
works.
Makes for an easier existence, man. I tell you,
Oh,
less
crying
of
out loud.
this.
Makes for a more free feeling life, right?
Yes.
You can start experiencing the essence of freedom in how you converse. Like, with the next person you talk to.
100%. 100%.
So you mentioned that there's a handful of things that people oftentimes don't cover, and you just covered a number of them. Are there any other items outside of those that people oftentimes don't cover that they should?
Well,
You mean like in the sales
well,
process?
I think they're always,
Mhm.
you know, all things are the same, but there's subtle differences. And that's why, like, I often will think, well, if I dropped into the selling private jets business, I don't know how to sell a private jet. Yeah, you do. I
Mhm.
I know that there's certain things I need to touch base along the way. I just have, I know that, let me say it differently. I know that there are about four key issues along the way that I have to touch base on. It doesn't matter what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Now it's just specifically what is it? And always the one of the things we have to always touch base on is time frame. Always touch base on time frame, and then the others are custom, but not. There are little tie downs, and they're always closed ended. Does that make sense? It's just, oh, okay. So you want the white-tailed deer upholstered on the back of the chairs on each of the seats in your private jet. That would, okay. If I can do that, okay. Then we move. Okay. So if I can get that, then we can put the order in.
The old,
Okay.
if I could, would you? Hey, if I could do
Yeah.
this, would you be interested? Yes, I would be interested in the white-tailed deer seats in my private jet. And then I like to find out, oh, just out of curiosity, why do you want? And then they tell you this story, and I'm just listening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
as I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
listening, I'm just picking up data the whole time. You're getting some insight to their psyche, if you will. And
Yeah.
then once
Well,
I know that, it's easier to ask. Then I know the right questions to ask. But because see, we used to have a sign back when we first got going. We had a sign. We were hiring a bunch of new sales partners, internal salespeople, and we always had a sign that said, "It's all about them." Make it all about them. See, I think a lot of salespeople go into this sales process and they're only thinking about themselves and getting the sale. You have to block all that out. And I read an article one time. You guys know who Tiger Woods is, right? Anyway, but so he's like the best.
Woods.
Tiger Woods. So I read an article one time.
Chuck, I call him El Tigre. Like when I'm with them,
That's true. You and El
you know.
Tigre hanging out,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
cruising the beaches and,
Yeah.
talking shop. Um,
Hmm.
but they asked him, like, how do you stay calm when you're standing over this putt and if you miss this putt or make it, it's the difference between like $500,000 or $250,000 or whatever. And he says, and granted, he had a lot of money at this time, but I'm kind of thinking he probably thought this way before too. He goes, I never think about that. I don't think about that. I think about making the putt. I don't think about what it means financially to me to make the putt or not make the putt. You have to
Right.
be present. Okay. So like in the sales process, being present is catering to your client, not catering to whatever you've got going on behind the face here. You got to make it all about them. And if you can do that and block all that other stuff out and make it about them and ask the right questions and do the tie downs, if I could, would you? I mean, we could talk sales process for 4 days straight, all the little
Yeah.
nuances of it all. But the first thing is get out of your head, make it about them, and ask the right questions, learn everything you can about them through discovery and tie them down along the way. And you will see a dramatic difference in your numbers that you're posting.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes a part of you. You become more present in the sales process than you are about thinking about the future or what happened 2 days ago. You got to just be present.
Yeah. It's sort of a flow in that. Like
Yeah.
it is, and we have a sales piece called about them. Our
Yeah.
sales piece is absolutely not about us. It's all
Yeah.
about them, asking them like, well, what, all kinds of about them, so we understand them. And we brought up the white-tailed deer, right? The embroidered on the private jet seat, and you made a good point. Like, okay, here you can learn a lot about them, because most people would totally miss that
Yeah.
opportunity to ask about the white-tailed deer. I go,
Right.
so you can go, okay. So if we can get that, then we can move forward today. I probably before that, if we're talking about white-tailed deer embroidery on the private jet seats, I go, why white-tailed deer? They go, oh man, my passion, da 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 da. I go, so would you use this jet to go hunting more?
Mm-hmm.
Where would you go, man? What would you do? We'd have all kinds of conversation about white-tailed deer hunting.
Right.
And I go, oh man, my grandpa used to, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're rolling and like, I know more about them. And I go, you know what? We maybe want to get an extra fuel tank on this because what if you want to go up to the Arctic Circle? I heard that, have you ever been, hunting the majestic albino?
Right.
There's all kinds of conversation. You go, and then pretty soon you just got to get back on track and get the paperwork done. And when you take a sincere interest in that, they it brings up a lot of conversation and it's sincere interest and you go, well, what about that?
Mm-hmm.
And they start telling you more about them, and when they're telling you about a white-tailed deer hunt that they went on in Saskatchewan not long ago, and it was so cold, man, and then right as the sun was going down and I didn't think I was going to get a deer, one walkthrough is like, oh man.
Mm-hmm.
And they're reliving that, something that makes them
Mm-hmm.
excited. They're reliving that, and now they're tying. We talk about psychology.
They're
right? They're tying
attaching
that
it.
experience
Yep.
to attaching it to you,
Yep.
right? And nobody asks them this stuff. Nobody, except the people that are really interested in getting free, right? But it's not like Chuck said. We're not doing this to get free in the moment. We're doing it because we're sincerely interested. Oh, how'd that go? How'd that happen? And yeah.
And
And
even
now I
if
know
you're a
all of
member of PETA, you better want to know all about white-tailed deer hunting if you're trying to sell this guy a private
You're gonna,
jet.
it's like, you aren't going to go, well, I don't like that. You're gonna go, oh, well, that's, maybe you'd ask him a different question.
Right. And
I
even
don't,
if you don't
I
like
am
it,
not,
don't you want to understand? Like, I want to understand. Like, I'm either way into it with you, or I'm just like a super inquisitive
yeah,
student.
I'm just interested in it. Like,
Um,
oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. You're really learning about the, why is it that, you're learning without, having it sound like you're totally against what they're talking about.
Right.
You're just, and then maybe you find out enough, and then you go, okay. So if we could get that,
Yep.
okay. Now we move on to the next thing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many things are just missed
Mm-hmm.
when you don't take a sincere interest in a presentation or a conversation that's really a presentation isn't interesting to anybody. And it's not interesting for me to do it, and I'm not gaining any information about you and your white-tailed deer experience.
Right. Well, and I think,
I missed it. I just missed it, and it would have been such a good thing for this. I would have found information about you. Maybe I would have learned a little about white-tailed deer. I don't know. The albino deer and the elusive albino deer in Saskatchewan.
mm-hmm,
I don't know.
mm-hmm,
You know, and they have missed, and you missed unlocking the cool feeling, the excited feeling that they then associate with you. But when you ask, anyway,
be curious.
it can be really fun and interesting when you go through a sales process if you run that way, inquisitive and fun.
Yeah. I think good
Oh, really? How'd
salespeople are
that go? Oh,
curious.
now those are open-ended questions, right? Those aren't tie downs along the way, and then you let them run however far you want to run with it, and when it's time to bring it back, you ask a closed-ended question. Oh, okay. So if we could get the white-tailed deer on the seats, now we're back on track.
Be curious. I think
Be
smart
curious.
people, good salespeople, they're curious. They're curious
Yeah,
about stuff. They're inquisitive. They're curious. They're like, well, how
yeah.
does that? And if you just bring that in, you'll be calling us, asking other questions like, hey, what do I do with all this money that I'm making from all the sales?
Right. We've got some ideas.
Let me know. Yeah.
All right, next question that came in. My mentor keeps pushing me to expand into multiple markets, add more services, and diversify my revenue streams, but I'm worried about losing focus and spreading myself too thin. What's your philosophy on expansion versus focus?
Well, there are a lot of thoughts about that, and I would say your idea about what you want to, what your life style looks like, and the things you get to experience in life are probably totally different than your mentors. They probably have a different idea of what the best life looks like. So I would say and that's a freedom challenge, right? It's so easy to follow somebody else's magical method, and it never quite feels right. And so, so one, let's start off with if we could draw out the things that mean most, the things that matter most to us, and the things that we want to create and build, and put a price tag to that, and how much does it cost to live that, and also how much time do I want to have to be able to do these things? Because many people in business are really, they think it's all about the money, and then they end up resenting what they do, and when they're about to die, they really resent, I spent too much time at the office. No, you never got clear on what mattered most to you, and you spent all the time at the office, never got clear. It's your fault, not the office's fault. So that said, and then we go, all right, uh, what kind of business, and will support that, help me, that will fund that lifestyle with the time and money, and then how I do that business. How does that give me the money and time and the enjoyment? So so now we're there. We go, okay, what gives me money, time, and enjoyment? And if they're going, well, you need to expand, you're going, I just don't see how that fits into this. I don't see how that fits. And so you have to play your own game. You have to
Right.
run your own race. And most this mentor, the chances are of them having the same ideas that you have are slim to none, because they're not you. They've got different DNA, they've got different experience, they have different thinking. So you have to be careful about mentors and methods and ways of doing business, and business that you get involved in. I would say, you know, and I've had those along the way, uh, and I've also done different things at the same time, and or we've expanded into different things. And I would say, if you're going to, now I don't know the exact scenario, but I do know that when you get into things that aren't related, it becomes really hard. Like if Chuck and I are in the credit card transaction processing business together, and so if we do things like, if you bring on, I don't know, like equipment financing, I would say and it depends on what equipment we're talking about. If people want to buy credit card terminals and we want to finance that, that's a good thing. If we're talking about financing their copiers and other equipment, I don't think it's a good idea, because it's not stacked. I think of things as stacked. So if we want to have a credit card processing software that we want developed, I think that's good. Those are good things to expand in, because if you want to go vertically. When you start going horizontally, it gets, now you're running two different businesses, and it really gets hard. Now both of them aren't probably doing very well, but if you stack them, it's all kind of the same thing. Now you can put your product in rather than when you're selling.
Right.
That's a natural. So I think the natural things we've found are good for expansion. But so vertical things feel good for expansion, horizontal things don't feel good for expansion. And I know that's simplistic, but because they fit.
I had
So
an interesting experience yesterday, and I know it sounds silly, but so I went into Arby's yesterday, and I remember growing up, Arby's never had a burger, right? Ever. That wasn't their thing. It was the shredded beef or the sliced beef. And
yeah,
I went into Arby's yesterday, like get on this road trip, and I go, "You guys have burgers now?" And she goes, "Yeah, we've had them for a long time." And I'm thinking, okay, makes sense because they sell sandwiches, right? If I went into Arby's and all of a sudden they're selling pizza, I'd go, that doesn't make sense. That's not that's a total different kind of market that you're in. But it made sense that they added burgers to their repertoire of sandwiches that they offer. I'm like, oh, okay, you know. So, I think that's exactly spot on. If it's what you do, it'd be like us going, well, we sell credit card processing, payment processing, and we're going to sell insurance now. It's like, dude, those are
Yeah.
two different. Those are.
Or used cars, you know,
Yeah,
or
it just doesn't work. It takes way too much time away from what got you to almost freedom or freedom itself. Then
yeah.
you're going to find that you won't be free anymore. And then it kind
Yeah.
of sucks, you know?
You know, I think like if we also like if we thought, oh, let's get into manufacturing credit card terminals. I wouldn't want to do that. Now we're in manufacturing rather than selling a service or a you know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to now become a manufacturer unless we're just writing software, but that's a different thing. We're not having to fly to China and press out
Right.
plastic parts and now we can't get ships in because there's a tariff. You know, it's like, no, you open up a lot of problems.
Right.
You know, you can, and it's back to what do you want to, you know, what, the load you carry defines the experience in life you have.
Yep.
What's the load you want to carry? What do you want to define you and your experience? You want to do that, or do you want to go, I want to, you know, let me do something that's and there we again, this is about the freedom challenge. So we're going after this from the perspective of being free. Some people want to be, man, I just want to be the CEO of Fortune, 100 company. You know, why? Well, now we're into a little different. Well, because I want the significance of it. Yeah, okay, well that's you. I don't know any of those guys who are free. Well, you know what? I don't know. I don't know any of them. They
Yeah,
make
right.
they make a lot of money. They don't look like the lives that I would want to have. But that's where it comes down to what's the lifestyle you want, the style of life you want to experience. What is it? What is the cost? What is the time? You know, there's so many things that there's so many enjoyable things. And the other thing too is like if this is life and this is work, the more when they overlap like this, then it's you're excited, you're happy. Life and work, there's no difference. It's not that you're a workaholic, you just enjoy what you do. The further apart they are. So if you go, well, your mentor's going, well, you really have to do this to be successful. Go, man, it's time to say thank you, but I don't need any more mentorship. Thank you very much. It's this is your life. You need to decide if you need to decide what the life is that you want, and then then you have to figure out what work supports that life, and then how you do the work that supports that life. So
Mm-hmm. And
I,
what you
I,
find,
I don't know.
it's interesting. I know this is kind of branching to another topic, but I think we're all kind of groomed to our whole lives to go, man, I just can't wait to retire. And I used to think that way. And now I'm
Yeah,
thinking, well, if I'm setting my life up that work and personal life are together, it's like, what would I do in retirement? I love what I do now because what I do now gives me the freedoms that I want. So it's all part of me. I don't want to retire. What the hell else would I do? I want to do something,
yeah,
right? But I'd like to do something, it's having choices, right? Like I can work 4 or 5 hours a day for a week, or I can work 10 hours a day for 3 days. Give yourself choices, create a life that you have choices.
yeah,
And then retirement
yeah,
isn't really something you think about because you're just you're having fun. It's like, good, I'm just
yeah,
living life. How could retirement be more fun than what I'm having now? I don't know. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Does that make sense?
And given people around me, given my age, and people,
Oof.
I get just last night, I got a text from a cousin of mine, and I read it, and I thought that's not quite the mindset
Hmm.
that I don't have that mindset. It's not that that's I a couple things. I thought one, I don't identify with that mindset because he used the word old in there, and
Hmm.
and he's been retired. I mean, limping along with a very meager existence, can't do much for a long time, and for a long time, for probably 10 years. But and you hear things from him like, oh, I don't know how much longer I'll live. And you go, well, God, I mean, you died a long
Wow.
time ago,
Yeah.
really. It's like, gosh, but you see that, right? But it's how they teach us. The first thing they do is start talking about retirement, as if, okay, assuming, that's sort of preloaded, I think. If you look at this from a particular angle, you go, okay, person just starting out in their career, you're going to hate all this. And so for the next 40 years, you're going to hate what you do. So put away as much as you can so you can get out of it as soon as possible. And I think, okay, well, why don't maybe, and then so, today, I don't know how happy the world is with, living under that.
Right.
But what if we looked at it a little bit differently and we went, all right, what is it? What's a lifestyle that we'd want to have? How much does it cost? How much time do we want to have? What are the things that we, in this lifestyle, what are the things that we would love to do besides make the money? What kinds of things I'd be interested in exploring or doing, or just having the time. And Chuck, you said having choices, because someday you may wake up. I mean, sometimes we wake up tired. We wake up not feeling very well. I don't want to do that today. Or you know what? I don't want to do that for a while. I want to go somewhere else for a while. But so if we set this up right, so we have choices, when things like that happen, we wake up and we just don't want to do something right now. We don't have to. We can respond, not rather than react like, crap, I'll call in sick, or it just gives you so much more freedom in life.
And back to that guy's question about expanding to other verticals or however the language was. Just think back to the day you started your main deal. Because back in the beginning, when you start, it's a different deal. You're learning the whole thing and you can't get away. You're not very free. Even today, if I were to start something new, I'm not going to be free for a while because I got to figure it out. That doesn't sound, if what you're doing is supporting that lifestyle you want, you're not going to have that lifestyle if you start another vertical, because you're not going to be free all of a sudden again, because you're going to be learning that deal. So it's like,
Yeah, I'm for, like, back to what is it? What's the lifestyle I really
right.
want to build? And then all right. So if I can figure out what's going to get me there, I'm going to declutter all the rest of the crap. I'm going to declutter it. I'm going to deflect other ideas that come in that don't match that. I'm going to disentangle the things that I'm doing right now that I want to keep but aren't quite right yet. So, so I eliminate all the other stuff. Just get rid of as much as you can, and only keep the stuff. Like I have a little scale that like I say, I care deeply about a few things, and those few things seem to take care of everything else.
Right.
So, and also I say no. I say no to more things than I say yes to, and so I have a meter, and I can either calculate these things and go, okay, like we do this at our office now. Like when we're interviewing somebody, we have about three measures, and we go, all right, let's score them 1 to 10 in each of these measures. And if they score less than 8 on any of these measures, there's something about them that's not going to quite fit with what we're doing. They should do something different. But if it's 8 or greater on all these things, yeah, they seem like they'd be a good fit. Or opportunities come up, and there's something about it that you just don't quite understand, and your instinct, like you can feel it right here. Like if I wanted to score it, I can kind of hold up all right, is this thing that I'm looking at, how does it feel? And if it feels, if my instinct, this feeling is an 8 or greater, all right, this is something, let's pursue this. If there's not, there's something in it that something else in me understands that it's not right. But up here, I don't see it and I can't calculate it, but I can feel there's something not right. And so it's a pass. And we've incorporated this into exact how we do business every day. So if it feels like that expansion, like that's a bit more of a business thing. So I'd probably score it. Well, what does it feel on this measure, on that measure, on the other measure? And if it's not 8 or greater on everything, I probably just wouldn't do it. If it is, then, and again, if it stacks, that makes more sense, But it all comes down to what is it? Just all you're doing is building some. And granted, what you're doing is life experience. So is this the experience I want to have in life, doing this thing? Does it really create more of the lifestyle, the style in which I want to live? Does it really do that, or doesn't it? And so, I'd look at it in pretty simplistic measures like that. And then if it does, well, then figure out how to do it in a way that gets you to where it is you want to go. Most people totally never do that stuff, and they get tied up in the stuff. Their kids end up hating them because they're never around.
Right.
There's a lot of problems that come up when you don't think about this stuff, and a lot of cool stuff that does come up when you do think about it.
And I was talking to my brother-in-law yesterday, and he shared a story about a friend of his that just retired. And the Wednesday before his retirement party, that was Friday, he passed away, got hit by a car. So he worked his whole life never being free. Then he finally retired. I know that sounds morbid and it's sad, and it
No,
really
but it
is.
happens.
But it
It happens
happens.
every day. We all have those same stories.
Right.
Each one of us knows more than one person that's happened to.
Yeah, and it's like,
Even Ian, being a young guy, has
right.
probably knows. He knows more than one.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah.
Kind of aligns with the philosophy that Warren Buffett, articulated of like tap dancing to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Tap dance your way,
Yeah.
baby.
And not all parts, and not everything that you do at work is enjoyable. Some is
Sure.
like, really, like right now we have there's things that you come across and you go, we have somebody that we're doing business with for a long time. That company, and that company got bought out by another company who now wants to not play by the agreement that we had with the first company.
Right.
And that's challenging, and it's not very fun. But in the scheme of things, it's part of this deal. It's
Right.
one of things come up and they're not pleasant. So there's another good reason to do something that will get you where you want to go. So if it does get you where you want to go, that lifestyle, okay, at least when 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 it happens, you go, okay, that's fine. These are bumps in a road, on the road that I choose to take, and they're periodic bumps. It's just
Right.
the way that it goes. But at least I'm not on the road that most people are on, where every day is just a bumpy, horrible road that they can't wait to get to the end of the day.
All right. I think we've got time for one more question.
All right.
All right. So this one is from somebody who started a junk removal company a couple of years ago. So I started a junk removal business 2 years ago, and we're doing about $300,000 in revenue with two guys helping me. We're profitable, but just barely. After paying my guys, truck costs, dump fees, insurance. My biggest problem is I'm constantly competing on price. Customers get 3 to 4 quotes and pick the cheapest. I've tried to differentiate on service quality, speed, and professionalism, but people don't really seem to care. They just want their couch removed cheaply. How do you compete in a commodity business without being the cheapest option? Or am I just in the wrong business entirely?
B.
You're always gonna, in that type of deal, right? That's a race to zero, because you're right. Why do I care who comes and picks up my couch, right?
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not seeing it again anyway. It's
Yeah,
junk.
you know,
You're in the junk business.
that's a
You know,
tough business. That's a really and I know guys that are in that business, and they try to, okay, we're going to start. We're going to start the stuff we remove. We're going to start scrapping it, and then they're scrapping, and then now they're, trying to get copper out of every TV they pick up because they're trying to. I mean, that's a tough deal. I think that
yeah.
kind of business is. I guess okay, it's what he's in, right? And if that's something that a guy wanted to stick with and do that, I guess I would fall back on the same things we do.
Let's go back to. All right, is that the life? What is it
Well,
that you
there's
want?
that,
Let's,
right? It probably is a life
let's.
he wants.
Yeah, it's like one of the questions earlier was whatever the question was. Like, okay, well, you painted yourself into a corner. So what you have now is that it's not uncommon what you're talking about, you know.
right?
And how many times are really you going to call somebody that, you know, how much repeat business, how cool can you make this sound, you know? It's just, you know, there's, you know, where are you going with this junk business, you know? And it's common, the scenario that you brought up, because people go, oh man, you know, they probably got sold on it, right? Like you see, oh, I could buy a
Mhm,
franchise or a business opportunity,
mhm.
all I've got to do is run around, pick up junk, you hire a couple of guys. Well, okay, but that's what you end up doing your business, that's what you end up doing, right? That's back to that, you know, the load that you carry defines your life experience. Well, what do you do your whole life? Well, I picked up junk, never quite got where I wanted to go in life. Yeah, I had a truck and I had a couple of guys, and you know, guys don't show up, then I've got to unload and load the stuff. It's like it's this channel is about, all right, what do I do to get free? And I just, it's
Well,
hard to be in a service business like
and be
that
free.
and be free. It doesn't matter. I don't have any good solutions about your situation, because it's just it's not, it's, I
But
don't,
but but the questions asked, right? And I don't want to poo-poo the guys if that's what his deal is, and I get
well,
what you're
he
saying.
asked though, or am I just in the wrong business?
Well,
It,
yeah,
yeah.
B. I think he is in the wrong business, you know. But I guess if that was his only trade that he knew, start going to landlords, start going to property owners that have renters, because
Yeah.
their stuff is time sensitive. Okay, like,
Yeah.
okay, this guy was supposed to be out on the 30th, and I've got a new tenant coming in on the 1st. I don't have time to call and get 90 quotes. I need this stuff out because my painter has to be in there tonight because I got a new tenant moving in tomorrow that I've already signed an
That's,
agreement with.
yeah.
So if that's what you want to do, you need to position yourself in arenas where you're not competing on price. You know, I would
They
find.
trust you and it's time frame.
Right. It's trust you. It's time frame. I know that, man, I got this tenant moving in tomorrow. I call Billy Joe. He's over there tonight. So because there again, I mean, I guess to a degree, if he's got a couple guys, he could get to the point. He's like, look, I don't even have to go lift any garbage. I become this marketing machine, right? This marketing machine can get me free. Next thing you know, he's got 10 other garbage removal companies that come to him and he just hands out jobs to him, just like contractors hand out to subcontractors. And I'm free. I
Yeah.
don't have to do it every day. You know, I think what happens is he's looking at this surface level wise, right? Well, I just put ads out and I'm the cheapest guy and no, dude, you're doing it just
Yeah.
like every other rubbish removal guy out there. I would do it differently. I'd become a marketing machine. It's like, look, dude, I don't even need a truck. I don't want a truck. I don't want to go lift anything. I've just figured out how to do this and have enough business that I can find two other guys who have a truck or whatever, and I just send them out to the job. I'm the middleman. I mean, I guess that's how I would approach that one.
Yeah. That's, thank you for
Yeah.
not dropping that, because thank you. I gave up on it too early.
I don't want any part of that.
But you're right. So it falls into what we talk about a lot, about building a massive referral network, you know, where people trust you and they call you, go, man, can you come over? Can you come over? You know, how fast can you get here? Can you
Right.
get here by Tuesday? You want the time frame to be working for you. So yeah, you call all those places. Hey, here's what I can do. You know, might not need me today, might not tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
but when you need me, you can count on me. It's like, oh man, that's good to know, that kind of person. And pretty soon you will have more business and you know what to do with.
Mm-hmm.
And like Chuck said, well, okay, now maybe I can, if I want freedom, you know, I could do this from anywhere in the, as long as
Right.
I have a phone, I can do this from
Mm-hmm.
anywhere in the world. I can go, you know, click my heels around, you know, Switzerland,
Right.
and maintain these relationships, and you know, wherever, Boston, and have guys going all over the place. I don't have to be in a truck and strain my back, you know. And some things are going to come along
Right.
where there are bumps in that road that you have to figure out, and things aren't going to go quite according to plan. But you're doing it in a way that, yeah, like Chuck said, you look at it. You know, how can you look at it in a different way? Build it in a way that suits you.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody does that. Nobody does that I'm aware of in the junk business.
Right.
You know, you have to call them. Oh, okay. And then, yeah, what does it cost to come and pick this up? And you know, you're involved in the same old racket as everybody else, and they're all having the same problems.
Well,
But
and you can tell because price is always the issue, right? So they're all just
yeah,
they're fighting over the same business. It's like, hold
yeah,
on, step back a second here. Let's set this up because I'd rather be the marketing guy. Go look, I just find it,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Yeah.
So
So if you had the wherewithal to get this going, all right, right, you bought the opportunity, you bought the truck, you probably, and you can get business and you can articulate the question that you asked. You
hmm
know, if you want to be in this business, let's go about it a little bit differently.
Hmm. So,
And if you want to
let's
use that energy and the spark that you have to get into something different, come and work with us.
yeah, that's right.
We'll help you use that and put
Right,
it on a little different track.
right.
So if they instead wanted to pursue the alternative option, what if you were to define what are the characteristics of a great business that increases that puts them in a good position to create a lot of the freedom that you guys talk about here? What are those characteristics?
What are the characteristics of the business or the person doing it?
The business.
Well, I think the first very hands down, you know, because we're in the industry of, you know, passive income or residual based type of income. I don't have a whole lot of interest in doing things that are just transaction. I want passive income. You got to have a passive in my opinion. You know, I don't want to
Well,
deal with
yeah,
not passive income.
yeah. Well, and so, you know, because when you do a transaction, now you've got to go hunt for another transaction,
Right.
and you can you've probably heard from you probably have like gathered that we have the confidence that we could go out and do whatever it is we want to do. Whatever it is we want to do, we could probably succeed at it. And so what do we choose to do? So what we choose to do, given the opportunity to do whatever it is that we want to do, we've both gravitated to passive income. Because passive income, your income can keep going and going and going and going. At some point, it's going to level off because you have so much business. You know, people die, retire, sell, whatever they do, and they go out of business. But when you have so much adding every month, that you can go very very high with your income before you meet before you level off with the church. And it's like every business has this pattern of how it works. And and does it ever get to the point where you have enough money? uh if I was going to do a transaction business, and opportunities come up, like, hey, you know what if you did this? Hey, how about flipping houses in San Diego? And I think I'd rather get kicked in the stomach. No, but it sounds sexy. I love San Diego.
hmm
Flipping houses sounds sexy. You see it on TV, and
hmm
they're doing all the stuff, and they're making money. But when you look at it, it's like, really? Okay, now you've got that. What they don't show you is a lot of things around it that aren't very pleasant at all. So, and even if residual passive income starts off really small, the thing is, even if it's small, and if you gain a small amount every month, within not that long time at all, in less time than you probably imagine, the income that you're making from these small incremental increases every month, it meets or exceeds the amount of money that you used to make before doing whatever it is you're doing. Uh, and then, the definition of at least financial freedom is your passive income meets or exceeds your bills. And so, but then you keep going and going and going, and it's that additional amount over your bills. Now you can do other things. You can invest in real estate, and if you don't have a renter, or whatever was covering your mortgage doesn't cover it, you still have extra money to be able to cover that. And so you can start getting into other things, or you can not get into other things, and or you can put the money into the market, or you can spend it on expensive cars or travel, or sending kids to private school, or whatever it is you want to
hmm
do. So your lifestyle can really change dramatically. Where you look at that average person who gets into some sort of work, and they don't it's extremely rare that they really get it up to the point where it if things change and change and change for their lifestyle.
Right.
Usually they'll get up to a point, and that's kind of where they stop. Maybe they'll get up a little further, maybe a little further, but that's really about it for most people, and that's where they level out. But if you get into passive income, also gives you a lot of it gives you a lot of choices in what you want to do
Right.
once your passive income exceeds your bills. What do you want to do with and it gives you time. You can like ask people in our team. They can take a couple months off and
Right.
not miss a beat. They're still going to make. We there's a little video of one of the guys on our team over on our website, and he sort of chuckles. He goes, he makes something like $15,000 a month in passive income, and he kind of chuckles and goes, I could take 2 months off and still probably make $30,000.
Mhm.
It's like, that's cool to. Yeah, it feels good to be able to have figured out how to have a platform that people can come in and do that. But anyway, so what's the like the earmarks of a business that I would like to be in? Passive income. It's got to build passive income, and that passive income needs to be integral,
Yeah.
to what people do every day.
Right.
Because if you just come up, oh, hey, here's a sort of a widget that, as long as they use it, you make passive income, but they don't use it very long.
Right.
That's not going to build much passive income. So like integral, like, look at the things you've used today that generate other people passive income. We all have electricity on. That's generating whatever utility company is passive
Right.
income. We probably all used our phone. We're using internet.
Mhm.
All these are passive income for somebody else. So, and there are things we don't even think about using. Like Chuck and I are in the payment processing business. People don't use it as much as the things I just mentioned, but they use it a lot. They'll
Right.
go into any store, online store, offline store. They're taking cards all day long, and it's really a big deal for their business. They can't not have it. It really causes them problems. So it's integral to their business,
And
to
it,
their yeah,
yeah,
to their
100%.
life daily life.
Business owners use it every day. I mean, for the most part, so standard
Yeah,
retail, especially.
depending on the business. Yeah,
But it's kind of like I've always kind of equated it to like look at car sales, right? Like if you could sell a car and get a commission up front and get like a half a penny for every mile they put on the car, everybody be in the car business, right?
yeah,
And you can only hammer so many nails a day. If I'm paid by how many nails I hammer, I can only do 100 nails a day. That's all I'm going to ever make. And the thing that always concerned me, and as you get older, people get tired. And kind of your comment earlier, some days you get up and you go, I don't want to hammer nails today, but you go, I have to hammer nails today, or I'm not going to eat this weekend. I don't think that's a good strategy in life. I
well,
think
it's
that,
not very free.
yeah, well, it's not
Doesn't
free.
build
Yeah, that
freedom.
100%. It's like I'd
So
rather
it's a
have things.
challenge of yeah, it's a challenge of
Yeah,
freedom.
yeah. Nah, so
Yeah,
yeah,
but that's absolutely not free. You
no,
know,
no. It's like, and I've seen guys, I know guys my age or older that are doing things and you see they're tired. They're tired.
yeah,
They look older.
yeah,
I mean, it's like I grew up in Iowa, which probably explains a lot to everybody. You got to talk slow when you talk to me. But I was actually I went home a couple weeks ago, and I saw a kid that graduated. He's a year younger than I am, and it was like, and he's in the trades, and I'm like, holy smokes. I didn't say this to him, but my internal dialogue going on is like, dude, you look old. He's beat up, so, and that's physical. I mean, obviously that's a little different, but still the
Well, but
stressors
but
of it.
still, look at guys who are in. I saw. What was I doing? I was watching a football game yesterday, or highlights of a football game, and a commercial came on, and it was it was for a law firm, and it occurred to me, I went, wow, that guy looks really old. I imagine life as me doing that job,
Right?
I would have looked that old a long time
Yeah.
ago, because that whether you're, like Chuck said, the trades, he means construction or
Yep.
construction, like,
Yep.
right, all
Yep.
those kind of things.
Yep.
Being in that service construction industry where it takes a toll on your body. Well, I would imagine this guy on this commercial is like, holy cow, imagine the stress and
Oh,
strain. If you're not cut out to do that work, you're going to look 80 at 40,
yeah, right.
and you're
Hmm.
probably going to die in early. You probably look like that inside too. You're not long for this world.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be careful. And that's where this idea of freedom too, and not just idea, this practice of freedom. And if we're every day, we're like, how do I unlock more? How do I unlock more this aspect, whatever it is of freedom, the essence that you're looking for? How do I get more of that today, even in the smallest sort of way? Uh, but we don't. We grind it out, and we look for ways to escape rather than to get free. And escape isn't free. Freedom, you create, you unlock more of. Instead of just not wanting to do what it is you do and finding ways, to avoid it, or
Right.
you know, it's a different. It's a totally different way of looking at things.
Yeah.
How do I do this to be free? In my heart too, not just financially. In my
Yeah.
days and my choices and the things that I get to do with my life that I don't have to do.
100%.